we'll just kind of go, Ingrid, if you want to start, and then we'll go Nicole, and then we'll let Maria kind of catch up. So as she's listening, she kind of understands where we're at.
Okay.
And then if
Great.
anybody else shows up, then we'll let them have the floor for a few minutes as well.
Okay, so hi, I'm Ingrid, and I'm a language coach and travel planner. So I help people who want to learn Spanish and become more fluent for their professional environment, but also if they would like to travel to Latin American countries to immerse in the culture experiences. And actually, before I switched to language coach, I was a business coach for many years, and I took a hiatus. So I teach at my local college, community college. I teach Spanish there. Been doing that for about 8 years, and I just want to do it more on the side right now.
Excellent. And then what do you want to kind of take away from today?
Well, first I wanted to meet you. I already met with Maria. Maria and I are connected. I'm meeting with Nicole next week. Yeah, or Thursday. Yeah, next week. So I just wanted to see what you were about.
Okay.
And what the group was about and all those things. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, welcome. We're excited that you're here. So Maria, we're just kind of doing like a really quick introduction of who we are, what we do, and what the takeaway today is that you want to get out of the work session. Okay. So Nicole, you're up, and then Maria, you can go after Nicole. Give you a few minutes to get situated.
I'm Nicole. I am a Chicago native living in Nebraska with my husband and 5 children. 2 are grown and live nearby with my 2 grandsons. I'm a virtual assistant for mompreneurs. I've been getting coached by Karen for briefly here and there for about a year, but steadily for about a month, and my business has already just flourished since then. So I really wanted to just take advantage of this time with her and learn as much as I can.
Great. Well, welcome. So what do you want to get out of today? Like, I know what you posted on the Facebook group regarding around kind of the challenge. Is that something you want to focus on?
Definitely. I have a hard time coming up with topics to share. I'm much better one-on-one or in small groups than just posting. I just can never think of topics to talk about. I just get stuck on there. So.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we'll work on that then today for sure. Maria, you're up, sweetheart.
Hello. So, I'm basically just here to learn. Trying to learn it all as much as I can. I do have a business coach on the side that I work with, and I love her to death. But I kind of want to learn more on the social media platform basis and how to navigate it all and, get better at it. So.
Okay. So, then you're going to kind of piggyback on what Nicole was talking about as far as like coming up with content ideas. Okay.
Coming up with content idea, kind of branching out a little bit on my confidence, getting on the front of the camera and that kind of stuff, getting more settled in with that. Yeah.
Okay. So well then, being on camera here today, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how comfortable are you right now?
See, like those things are fine with me, like small groups, like these, like Zoom one-on-ones, they're fine. Like Nicole says, I'm comfortable with that. Well, when it comes to doing what you do, like a live video, yeah, no.
Okay.
There's another level of insecurity that goes up when I try to do that. So
yeah,
I want to get better behind the camera. I want to get better at understanding the whole that whole side of it.
Okay. All right. Well, then we're here to support you. So that's awesome. Okay. So then basically what we want to do is over the next 45 minutes is kind of, I know Ingrid, it was really more about kind of meeting me and kind of putting this connection together and taking a look. And so I think from a collaboration perspective, maybe what we can do is, I know Nicole started the conversation in the group, that we can say, like, what is the biggest hurdle when it comes to creating content? And in the Facebook group, we talk a lot about, that authentic voice and staying in integrity and, what your story is. And so if we take a look at, and one of the replies I said to Nicole was, not sharing what to post is really about sharing your solutions to what your clients or potential clients are experiencing as their pain point. So what is your solution? And so for Nicole, I said to her, like, what are the 3 assumptions that people make about you? So both Ingrid and Maria, you both are in that language industry. So for somebody to partner with you based on what you provide, what are some of the assumptions that people have about not you specifically, but what your services are and what your industry is?
Well, I think that they're looking for the solution is for them to become more fluent in Spanish. So they expect us to give them tips and resources on how to become more fluent, like more practice, like a
Okay.
lot of practice when they're not with us, really.
Right. So with that, if we take one step back and say, like, that might be their assumption about working with you, but to step into the area of working with you, what is their assumption of where they might need to be? So do they make an assumption? So for me, like, I'm married to a Puerto Rican who obviously Spanish is his first language, right? I don't. Like, I grew up in Canada, so it's like French and English, right? We're dual language citizens. So for me, I'd be like, okay, so if I'm going to work with you, my assumption is, do I have to have some level of understanding of Spanish? Am I need to be a beginner? Like, so what other assumptions are they coming in with before they even reach out to partner with you? Because that's going to influence their decision to reach out or not, right? What is that assumption? And we know what assume is, right? When we break down the word assume, right? So what are those assumptions? Because they're not correct, right? So what are those other assumptions that they're coming into the conversation with before they even start the conversation?
I think a lot of it is they feel like they have to know it a little. I think they have to, or they may think that you don't know it as well as they will like you, or I'm not sure how to phrase that, but I don't think they fully understand what they're getting themselves into when they sign up.
Okay.
Um,
So how do you in your content
mhm.
reassure them? Because with the assumption, there's that block of fear, right? Like they energetically put this block up of saying, oh, like my assumption is I need to know Spanish to work with them to a certain degree. And I don't know any. So my fear is I'm not going to be they can't help me because they're going to have to teach me how to count in Spanish, like what the colors are, right? Like really the foundational kind of kindergarten level. So what can you share with them to kind of break that barrier to get them over that first assumption?
That's why when I did mine, I said I wanted to be at the beginner's level. So that's why I specifically said English, Spanish at the beginner's level, both children and adults. That way they kind of know what it is that I do
Yeah,
in sense of the language part. So
right. Yeah. So Nicole, based on with your VA, what are some of those assumptions, like knowing where Ingrid and Maria are, regarding like, we are basically saying we want to take that wall of fear down, that they're not at the level they need to be. So working with you, processes, you're right, that was one of the key things for you, was like, they think they have to have processes in place or they're unsure. So what are some of those pre-assumptions that they might have in place that you're going to want to kind of reassure them that they don't need to be? Oh, you're
mute.
can't hear you.
You mute.
Oh, unmute yourself, Nicole.
Okay, there we go.
There you
Too
go.
quick with the trigger.
They always assume they need to be organized before they can
Mhm.
hire a VA. They need to have their processes written and that's part of what my services is, to organize for them. But I do struggle with trying to get out of them what they need organized. So that's kind
So-
of stuck.
When you say that, what comes to mind is when I was a child, my mom had a housekeeper that would come and clean the house, but she would tell my sister and I that we would have to pre-clean before she came. Right? So it's like you have to go and pre-clean, so when Janet comes, she doesn't have to pick up your messes,
Mhm.
right? So right, so there was this fear of like what people were thinking, like my mother was a unclean person, she was unorganized, right? That was her fear of that perception.
Mhm.
So is that maybe part of it, that it's a perception of, or a misperception, like she's going to look at my business and think, how did she get this far? Like she's completely unorganized. She has no idea what she's doing.
That's a good thought. I haven't even thought of that.
I kind of have that fear too, a little bit of that, they may not think that I know what I'm actually doing. Mainly because of the confidence that I lack in myself. And I
Mhm.
don't necessarily want to portray that in that, in that meeting. So,
Yeah.
One thing that I think about for both of you, Maria and Ingrid, is not your high school Spanish. Because
Right.
there's so many people that take high school Spanish and then you never use
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
never anything useful you could use. So that
Mhm.
might be a good point to get across.
Mhm.
Well, I always ask, okay, are you surrounded by Spanish-speaking people?
Mhm.
Before I'm asking them, how much Spanish do you take in high school? No, are you surrounded by Spanish-speaking people? Where do you work?
Mhm.
Do you find yourself hearing people speaking Spanish and you wish you would join that conversation, and things like that,
Mhm.
just to get an idea what exposure is around them. There are
Mhm.
certain cities, certain places that is not that many Hispanic. There are other
Right.
places. The moment they tell me California or Arizona, I already know.
Right, because that's the culture, right?
Right.
So,
Uh-huh.
so interesting when we had my son Caden, like I was trying to encourage my husband because his family in Puerto Rico, most of them didn't speak English. Like his stepmother, zero English. So the concern was there was going to be that language barrier in the relationship. And so I was trying to encourage him, speak only Spanish to the kids.
Mhm.
And he didn't. And because his concern was that I didn't know Spanish, and so I couldn't participate in the conversation. He would never hear me when I said, "Well, I will learn it as you go." If you're teaching an infant how to speak Spanish, obviously as an adult, I'll connect someplace. But so for him, his fear was that he was leaving me out,
Mhm.
right? So that's why he didn't, even though there was no way I could reassure him. So tapping into that culture piece, if they don't have somebody around them, what does that look and feel like for them to want to learn Spanish? Because in the US, right, Spanish is overtaking the English language for the most
Right.
common language spoken.
Mhm.
So realistically, more people need both of your services
Yeah.
than just high schoolers.
What I'm coming across with clients that I'm meeting, a lot of them don't understand how necessary it is to have their web content or their website also be exposed in Spanish and English. That way they can branch out and expose themselves to more clientele.
Right.
And so that's kind of why I offer, hey, I can translate your website for you, or I can translate some documentations for you, whatever. But I think getting that exposure to them, letting them understand why they need to expand is important.
Right. So now as an English speaker, having my content in another language that I don't speak,
Right.
am I attracting that right clientele?
Probably
That's a good
not.
question. Probably not.
Yeah, probably
Right?
not,
Yeah.
because then you won't be
Yeah,
able to
probably.
communicate with them.
Right.
Right.
So part of your messaging now, Maria, right? Because the service
Mhm.
you're offering, absolutely, right? Like my husband does consulting on the side outside of his corporate job with
Mhm.
businesses. So when he looks at wanting to create a website or a web page, having his page and website in dual language makes
Mhm.
absolute sense because that's his main language, that's his first language.
Right.
So when you are marketing that ability, right,
Mhm.
that service, could it also go both ways where you could specifically be posting in Spanish to a clientele that needs their website translated into English?
I think I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that if you have a designated person who speaks Spanish or whatever other language, and you translate your materials, you have
Mhm.
that person there that they have to go to.
Yeah,
So in that case, it's fine, but you
Mm.
have to have a backup.
yeah,
You don't
That's
have the
true.
backup,
Yes.
then you won't be able to go any further.
That's true. That's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good point.
So,
Good point.
so now for both of you, you're talking English to Spanish, but can you guys, either of you or both, go from like taking a Spanish speaker to an English speaker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do either. Or.
So then now your content is, how do you market to Spanish speakers
Mhm.
We learn English.
that you can then
Oh, English. Yeah.
right?
And that's where I'm kind of having a hard time figuring out how to do.
Right. So do you have dueling, we'll use Instagram as an example. Do you have dueling profiles where you're focusing on Spanish to English and then the other one is English to Spanish? Same content, but taking it from one language to the other.
Well, I personally don't have anything saying I'll teach English to Spanish speakers right now. I'm focusing on one thing at a time right now to
Mhm.
get that settled. It's pretty much settled. And
Yeah.
then I will move on to the next. That's a different
Right.
market.
Yeah,
Spanish to
Yeah.
English is a different market. So
different
English
clientele,
is so
right?
hard.
yes, it is.
Yeah. So now, with that, what demographic, what age group are either of you focusing on? Or is there a specific age group?
like dinosaurs.
I love dinosaurs.
No, right?
Sorry, guys.
You're fine.
For me, I target 3-year-olds and up. So, because I can do both. 'Cause I have an
Okay.
early childhood education background behind me.
Okay,
And so I could do the younger children as well, up to, high schoolers. So I target both ranges of ages.
okay,
I'm in higher education, so I will target college students, even though I'm a community college, they have the tutors. Well, I'm a tutor there, but even though if they want any more, and so college age and up.
okay.
Mhm.
So with that, what is your, really comes back down to your messaging, right? So what's the message you're trying to convey? So what's your story, right? Like that story of impact. What is your story that you're sharing to convey what you do? And this is for you too, Nicole.
Okay, I'll go.
So curious.
Wait, Maria, come on, Maria.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
still curious. I'm still creating mine.
she's like, well, yeah, I got to think about this. All right. So, well, first, because I target Spanish for professionals, my message is, okay, if you want to reach out to the Hispanic market, you already know, so in some cases, they already know how to speak a little bit of Spanish, but they need to become more fluent so they can communicate better. So for Spanish for professionals are to reach out to the Hispanic market. Sometimes they have to go to a country and then get an interpreter. But in that
Mhm.
case, I will train them for that.
Okay.
Um,
So now what's your story on why you got into doing what you do?
oh, it's a long story. Short version.
Mhm.
I am a native speaker.
Mhm.
So one of my superpowers is that I can teach another language, something that many people don't have the ability to.
Mhm.
Because I teach a higher level education, I already kind of know how, adult learning is completely different from younger learning.
Mhm.
It's harder to learn as an adult.
Right. So, um, so why are you if you're a native Spanish speaker, how did you come to become an English speaker?
How?
Like what motivated you to learn English?
See, my background, I was born in New York City. My parents are Dominican, so my first language was Spanish. When I was 5, we moved down to the Dominican Republic, all English, all Spanish, but English private school.
Okay.
So my parents raised us bilingual because we are Americans. We came back to the States, we were already completely bilingual. So I've been
Okay.
fluent in both languages since I was young.
Okay.
It was just something that my parents did.
Right. So it was out of necessity, right? Because when you're learning English down in a Spanish speaking country, you're in an English speaking country, but you still are still using and learning Spanish.
Yeah, well, my parents didn't speak English. My dad will defend himself, like we call it, translated from Spanish to English. But my mom just refuses to speak because she fears, but she understands everything.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's my
Yeah,
mother-in-law.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
That was my grandparents.
Yeah. So that's when you're looking at your content, part of that story, that's the compelling piece, right? That's humanizing what you do.
Mhm.
So how do you translate that experience of being immersed in a Spanish country, but going to school in an English school, right? So there is overcoming that fear. There's the breaking down of those cultural barriers. Like, how does that translate into the content from a messaging perspective? Because
Well,
what you experienced through that childhood and into your adulthood with your mother, that's part of who you are attracting.
yeah, and that's part of my story on my website. How I became bilingual. I grew up in this Dominican neighborhood, Dominican household, Dominican everything in New York City.
You're right. Right. So now that is part of that content story, right? So when you start strategizing around what is the content you're going to share, you're answering the questions like putting yourself in your mother's shoes. Why is she, quote unquote, fearful of learning another language? What's holding her back? Is that something that empowers her because she's maintaining her culture and she's refusing, and I use the word refusing, and maybe that's not the right word, but she is holding her boundary of wanting to stay true to her culture and her beliefs. And if she learns another language, does she let go of that? Is she compromising her own culture, right? So if you start to look at what your experiences were, that's the language people are going to resonate with.
Yeah.
Right.
But she didn't have the necessity to learn English because growing up in Washington Heights in New York City, if you look it up, it's all Dominican. They even label the Dominican, whatever. over there. So she didn't have to have the need to learn English because everything was provided for
In
her in
Spanish.
Spanish.
Right. Yeah. Right. True to that culture pace, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the location
Yeah.
as well.
A lot of the Italian, Little Italy is the same. Chinatown is the same. And all those things are the same. They just don't need because
Florida.
it's all around them.
Yeah. Yeah. So So that's when we're talking about the content ideas, you can start to look at those stories, right? So Little Dominican, right? So my husband being Puerto Rican, it's what do they call them? The New Yorkins or something
New
like where they,
Yorkers, New
yes,
Yorkers.
yeah, right. So there's the subcultures within the bigger unit. So part of those stories, that's part of your content in sharing. And how do you share that? So Maria or Nicole, what's your story of impact? Like what kind of put you in that position of where you're at? Because that story, right, just like we were talking with Ingrid, is going to be part of that content creation, part of the allure that people are going to have to come and work with you.
I've had this question asked before and it's never really clicked. But now hearing Ingrid's story, it's really helped. Like I needed the money. That's just been my story. We needed the money. But I had a 13-year gap in my resume, so I couldn't get hired for the career that I had before I had my kids. And this way I can work from home, have my family, but also, please stop. As a VA, I'm helping other moms do the same thing, and follow their passions and do what they're good at. So if the better that I do at my job, the more women I can lift up and moms that I can support.
Mhm.
So
So yeah, so
it
part of your
finally
story
clicked.
is you're kind of like that corporate, and I'll use corporate loosely there, right?
Mhm.
But there's that corporate wall that all of a sudden it's like you have to explain yourself for your absence.
Right. Exactly.
Like if you're gone too long, your absence is like you need a doctor's note because you missed too many days of school,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so then it becomes a worthiness story
Mhm. Yes.
as yeah. So talking to, empowering them about being worthy to follow their dreams because they can manage it based on your support.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
like that. I'm gonna write that down. And I thought for Maria, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but the homeschooling community, I think you could do really well with because they love any opportunity to learn anything, you know?
I'm
So there's
working on it,
just,
Nicole.
yeah.
I'm working on it.
If you
Yeah.
ever want an introduction, at least to the Omaha area, I can do that. We're pretty
Yeah.
plugged in here.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'll get in touch with you shortly. Okay.
So that was our Spanish tutor here in Michigan, in Midland. We moved here and I got connected. She's actually a good friend of mine now, and she was a Spanish tutor for my kids.
Mm.
And she homeschools her kids as well. And that's kind of like
Mhm.
that's her gig. It was all the homeschooling kids that needed their foreign language. And then she was also a supply teacher. So she would supply teach for all their local Spanish and French teachers. So for her, that was her niche, is because she had the flexibility with her kids at home that she could go and work with other, students that are either at home due to medical reasons or that they're just choosing to be homeschooled. So, because Maria, where are you located again?
Indiana, Indianapolis.
So is there a big homeschooling program or movement there?
No, I'm not really familiar with it. I think there is though. Because I know personally a lot of friends of mine who um homeschool their kids or they're a big part of a co-op, which is
Mhm.
very similar. So there is, I think, I don't know how big it is honestly, because I never researched it, but
Yeah.
I know it's pretty big.
Yeah.
Or at least it's coming anyway.
Yeah. So, so now have you, like, I know you said, kind of the age of 3 and up, have you niched it down even further? So when you're looking at that content and that messaging that you're speaking directly to that.
That's where my problem comes in. I'm an overthinker, as Ingrid already knows. But I have a hard time simplifying certain like tasks. And I'm trying to figure out, and I never really thought about simplifying that niche. So it's kind of like I don't really know how to, I don't know. It's not that I don't know. It's I don't know the direction that I want to kind of go in with that yet.
Right. So, and that would, you know, like, I don't know who your business coach is, but that would be my recommendation is that
Yeah.
needs to be, if you haven't done that yet with who that person is, that really
Yeah.
needs to be your focus.
Yeah, because like Ingrid, we've been working one thing at a time because I'm still learning it all by
Yeah.
myself. So, um, one of the things that I started doing this year is I started revamping everything from where I started. So
Mhm.
when I started this, I didn't have any idea where I was going or what I was actually doing or,
Yeah.
anything. Um, Kind of like Nicole, I needed something to do. I needed some more income coming in. I quit my job, my corporate job for 14 years. Well, industry for 14 years, but my corporate job
Yeah.
was an early childhood educator, but due to health issues. And that's one of kind of my story behind this. But um, I just, now that I know where I'm going and I have a better idea of where I'm going,
Mhm.
and who more my audience is and all that kind of stuff, I can kind of streamline it more and restructure it and revamp it more
Mhm.
to better tie in with all my niches and
Right.
my core values.
And so to kind of piggyback on what Ingrid was saying earlier about when we were talking about Spanish to English, English to Spanish, you know,
Mhm.
she wants to master that first segment, like that first niche before she expands. That
Yeah.
might be something you're going to want to think about is before you go and, you know, revamp all these things around, get
Mhm.
super clear on who it is,
Yeah.
right? And if that means you want to focus on that, you know, 3 to 8 year old age group,
Mhm.
then don't worry about anybody else and just get your messaging down pat for that.
Mhm.
And then once you get that messaging down and you know kind of what the content looks like and what the feel looks like and the packages, then go back and start to revamp to speak those messages. But I think if you start out here, you're going to end up doing double work, right? Because you're going to do all these
Yeah.
changes. You're going to come in and do the avatar piece and get super clear. And then all of a sudden you're going to
Mhm.
realize, oh, I need to change this again. Oh, I need to change that now. Oh,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you might want to think about kind of the strategy
Clarity of it all.
behind
Yeah.
your approach. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because that's one of the things, I'm still kind of learning where this is going to go and I'm still kind of figuring it all out. And my situation is a little bit more unique. Because I'm limited on certain hours that I can work. So I have to figure that out as well. So
Yeah. So, and those really, you know, I think that might be just to kind of tap into your language, right? It's not that there's a limitation there, you're setting boundaries,
right.
right? So my
Yeah.
boundaries are I'm only able to work from this time to this time to this time,
Right.
right? So I think if with that, you begin to get clarity. And what happens when you get clarity? You get more confident,
Right.
right? So that ties into exactly kind of what you need regarding when you're talking about your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So your language is going to be really important for you to be able to go, oh, I'm not having a limitation. I have
Right.
boundaries.
Right. And that makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you 99% of the population, if you say I'm only available between 9 and 10 a.m. on Mondays to work with clients,
Mm-hmm.
they don't care to a certain degree why you're not available the other time. Their assumption is going to be you have clients or you have meetings or you have other business obligations,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not going to like dissect, well, what do you mean you're not available? They're going to go, okay, what other times you have available? And you get to say Tuesday from 2 to 4, Wednesday from 9 to 12,
Mm-hmm.
right? So whatever those time frames look like for you,
Right.
that's just what your availability is. And the clients will come in.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think for me, one of the biggest hurdles that we're talking about is going from working for somebody else to working for myself.
mhm.
That's like one of the biggest hurdles for me is and I'm still getting adjusted to that. So it's
So
kind
what's
of, you
what's
know,
the biggest hurdle with being self-employed?
Mindset.
that, um, for me, it's about not necessarily motivation, but keeping it going. Like just, because there are certain days where for me, it's a lot on the mindset. Like, so I get depression pretty easily. So I have chronic depression. So that sets in. And then, you know, it's a struggle to get, I have to shut everything down. So it's a struggle to get everything back up. So
Mhm.
at least when I was going to a job, I had something else to focus on. I had something else to, because I go from one extreme to the next. So
Right.
that's one of my biggest challenges is getting over that. Um, I guess the motivation to keeping going.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like an accountability person
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
in a sense. Yeah. So that might be another
Yeah.
conversation with your business coaches to like
Yeah.
as their role, like to define them like from an accountability perspective, even if it is
Yeah.
just simply, you know, like Nicole and I use Slack as a channel of communication. So even if it's a quick note in Slack,
Hmm.
right? Where it's like, oh, and it can be just enough to, you know, to switch your
Right.
mindset and
Yeah.
redirect your focus. Yeah.
Because I go one way or the other. Like I'll focus really hard on a certain thing and then everything else falls back for, you know, it's a back burner.
Yeah.
And it's like I can focus on myself and then everything else falls apart. Or, you know, vice versa. So
Yeah.
it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. So, sorry, I just realized my phone wasn't turned on.
Hey, I'm gonna have to jump off. I have another meeting here in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I have to hop
So,
on.
so did you take away what you wanted? Did you get some information that's going to be helpful?
I did, and those are good ideas to think about. And because like I said, I overthink a lot of things, so I just think I need to simplify it.
Mm-hmm.
I put
No.
the client avatar workbook in the chat. That really helped
Neat.
me because at first I was like, I don't want to narrow it down. I need money so bad. I'll work with anybody. But then
Mhm.
I had so much more opportunities once I did narrow it down. So
Yeah.
Right. Well, like I was telling Nicole yesterday, I think it was Nicole, I was telling, never have those feelings where you have time to do stuff and you don't feel like you have time to do it.
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
That's where I've
Yeah.
been feeling like I feel like I have so many things to do, but not enough time, and that's not really true. But
Mm-hmm. And that is a struggle for a lot of people because all that is really just kind of shifting your perspective every time, right? And it's like
yeah,
that constant tweaking, right?
yeah,
Yeah, well, remember, we all have the same 24 hours. We don't
Mhm.
need any
yeah.
more than 24 hours.
Mm.
How you allocate your time is what matters.
Mhm.
Right,
Yes. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah. And then also giving yourself permission to say, you know what, today's just one of those days.
Mhm. Definitely give yourself grace.
Yeah. Like I woke up to an email that did not make me happy. And I was by 8 o'clock in the morning, I was like on the phone with my good friend because I said, I just need 15 minutes to just get it all out. Right.
Mhm.
Instead of actually working, I vented with a good friend. Right. And I was able to kind of like work through it and get through it and then breathe. And then I was able to sit down and stay focused. Before that, like my mind was going all over the place, right? Like that person
Right.
was living rent free in my head,
Mhm.
distracting me, right? So once I was able
24
to kind
hours.
of give
Yeah.
myself permission to step back,
Mhm.
I was able to refocus. So again, it's about also giving yourself permission to say, today's just a me day.
Yeah. I'm learning how to do that more often now,
Yeah.
but it's not easy.
Yeah. Society tells us that. That's why.
Right?
Yeah.
One of the things I've been doing this year is unlearning a lot of things that I should have not learned, but
Yes.
That seems a lot harder than learning new things for
Yeah.
me at
oh
least.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is. It
Yeah.
is. All right. Well,
So
thank you guys.
you're welcome, Maria. Thanks for coming.
Bye,
I
Maria.
appreciate
Yep.
you.
Nice to see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, so Ingrid and Nicole, we kind of talked about some stuff, some content ideas. So working through kind of what your story of impact is, Nicole, and how you can draw key pieces out of that to be able to then use in your content. Because I think your story really has a lot of content built into it.
I
And it's
have a lot of ideas now.
Yeah,
That
right. So
really
then it's
helps.
also allowing yourself to be vulnerable.
Yes, which I struggle with, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to just pick something out of a hat and
Yeah.
try to decide to be vulnerable about it. So
Yeah,
this is giving me a lot of good ideas.
good. I'm glad.
Well,
So what
okay.
else do you guys want to talk about or connect with?
That's all I had today.
Sorry, Ingrid, I
Because
think you were
this-
actually speaking and I talked over you. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Now, I was gonna say to Nicole that I was in the same situation. Actually, my situation when I was a VA back some years ago, and it was that I lost my job and relocating to a new state, and I had a baby, and I was in a completely different state and all those things. I also took a hiatus and stay home for a little while, and now the same thing. I have a huge gap on my resume. I'm like, I didn't know what to do. So eventually, you'll be surprised how many women out there have that struggle,
Yeah, true.
that they
Mm.
took some time and then they want to go back, they chose family over career, and then now they could do it the career. It's
Mhm.
amazing. There's a lot out
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it's true. There are so many.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I see it unfortunate. I think that if you took the time to raise your kids, it's a blessing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, because
Mhm.
they're there for you. Just thing is that one gotta give,
Yes,
so you either
definitely.
give raising your kids or you either give your career. Of course, I
Yes,
can say that now
it's hard
because
to
I've
do
already
both.
been there, done that,
Mhm.
but they don't know how to come out. All has to do with mindset.
Mhm.
It's the
Definitely.
mindset. Yeah.
Mhm.
So the market is there for you, Missy. It's
Definitely. This is a
there.
perfect time. I figure
Yeah.
after COVID, you know, everything virtual is up for grabs right now.
Mhm.
So I'm blessed that it happened now.
Yeah. So good. Okay. So you have content ideas. Ingrid, is there any questions you had about me or about the community or about the Facebook group?
Now, I was going to reach out to you to have a one-on-one just to
Okay.
learn about
Do
your
it.
background
She's
and all that.
amazing.
I'm meeting Nicole tomorrow. So
Yay.
I already have Maria's one-on-one like 2 times. I'm trying to hold a little bit of accountability with her. I
Mhm.
feel like she
Good.
needs a little help. Okay, I'm here. Okay, what do you need?
Good.
So, and I just wanted to know about you. I mean, I've been following the Facebook and things like that. So I just wanted to learn about what your coaching style is.
I
This-
actually have to go if you
Okay.
guys want to chat. So it
Okay.
was nice to
Perfect.
see you guys.
Okay. Great.
All
Thanks,
right.
Nicole.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, so my coaching style is very much an organic approach. Like I
like that.
take that mind, body, spirit piece and I combine them. And my philosophy has always been that we can have the best of intentions and we can set amazing goals. But if our goals and our decisions are not in alignment with who we are as a person, our core values, and what our beliefs are, what our faith is, then those successes are going to be short lived because we will keep coming back to the same challenges, the same struggles until we get those decisions and goals in alignment with the whole being, our whole person, our mind, body, spirit has to be working together. So even if you have success and then like 6 months later, all of a sudden you start to see a pattern emerge again, it's because there was something in that original decision that wasn't 100% in alignment. So our goal over the 6-month program is to make sure that you're learning all of these little tweaks and adaptions to go forward successfully without having to repeat the patterns while we're building whatever strategies it is based on your goals with your business, right? So that's kind of how I approach it. Some days it feels like you come into a session and all they need to do is just vent. Like the first 30 minutes is like, these are all my frustrations. I have no idea what's going on, yada, yada, yada. And part of it is me holding that sacred space with grace to say, this is a containment where you get to spew all of those horrible thoughts and they won't go anywhere. Because if you are holding them in, guess what happens? Then you're going to be distracted. You're going to not be able to move forward. So we need to make sure that we address all of that. So some sessions will look different than others just because of that. But that's kind of that's my approach, my philosophy when I look at how am I going to support somebody the best is I will absolutely meet them exactly where they're at. And we're going to work together to get them where they want to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty similar how I used to it as well. Of course, sometimes it's easier to coach somebody else than to coach yourself.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
So talking to Maria and things like that, I can hear her struggle. I can hear her confidence level. I can hear her mindset. I can hear all that.
Yeah.
And I can approach that and tackle it right away. I like know what to do. Yeah. But then when it comes to me, I'm like, oh my God, boy, why is it so much harder? I already know how to do this.
Yes.
So sometimes you need an outsider that kind of understand.
Well, I kind of liken it in two different ways. One, doctors can't be their own doctors.
Right.
Right? As coaches, we can't be our own coaches. Like we just can't. We know the solutions, but we don't have an extra set of eyes that are taking it from a different perspective. And no matter how much we move and shift, we'll never see it without an emotional attachment. And that's where, when you think of therapy, we go to a therapist because they don't have the emotional attachment to the outcome. And as a coach, I'm going to be rooting for you. I'm going to be all in and I'm going to be one with you for your business, but I don't have the same emotional attachment. I'm able to detach myself and say, okay, wait a second. Let's think about this from a different viewpoint. I'm not here to be the yes man. I'm not always going to tell you the things you want to hear. I'm going to tell you some of the things that you're going, I really don't like her right now. Right? Because ultimately I'm mirroring back what you don't want to hear. Right. So, and that's kind of, so I agree. Like there's a reason I have my own coaches and my own mentors for that exact reason. Right. Mm-hmm. I have enough awareness, like this morning, the situation that was happening, happened to do with my son's hockey team, another parent. And so I was like, that is so much weighing on me. There's no way I can do anything. Mm-hmm. Like I wouldn't be able to be fully present for these sessions or the other sessions I had today if I didn't have that space to talk to a good friend about the personal issue and work through it. Right. And that's kind of what needs to happen for all of us. So a business coach / therapist sometimes.
Mental, yeah. I do academic coaching.
Okay.
At a community college, and I use my own coaching techniques and skills and everything.
Yeah.
With them, and I'm known for the time management coaching and the study skill coaching, because I guess that's like a superpower in there. Right. I've done so many things at so many times, and sometimes I look back and like, how did I do all that? How did I manage so much? And I just, it took me a little while to realize I'm really good. I'm a very organizational, analytical, and planner.
Yeah.
So I have those traits that just can put anything together.
Right.
With all the little details.
Well, and that's right. So that you see that 30,000 foot level. Yeah. And you're able to kind of, filter it all down for them. So they don't get overwhelmed and they just see the steps. They see the building blocks that you've created and they can build the same thing, but you've seen the whole structure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Many years of coaching, many years of being coached, many years of observing, many.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Your foundation is broad, right? So you bring a lot of skill sets. So that's amazing. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah, kudos to you for working in the academic field for sure.
Thank you. I love a challenge. And it's
Yes,
not
it is
that
challenging.
bad. It's really not that. Yes, I do
Yeah.
have time sometimes, and my poor husband takes it all in.
Yeah.
But yes, I've grown as an adult amazing. I'm an
Yeah.
introvert that I've never thought I would be in front of a group of people talking. So that was actually completely out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did it. I
Yeah.
enjoy it so much. I had no idea.
It's awesome. I love it. I love it. So great. What other questions do you have?
I think I'm just going to browse around. I signed up for the Get Savvy website. I'm going to browse
Okay.
around, taking a look at, I try to keep up with the Facebook group. I try to attend the meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
because Today, one of my classes finished her semester.
Yeah.
So Wednesdays, it's like, yes, a day. Let me just take care of this. And then you
Yeah.
said about this group coach. I'm like, perfect. It was meant to be.
Yeah. Perfect. I love it. Well, I'm so glad you were here and we got to chat. So,
Thank you.
but yeah, so no, feel free, reach out, let me know how we can support you. And these ones, I'm not sure when the April one is, but I normally have them up on the calendar kind of 2 or 3 months out at a time. And then we just go from there.
Okay,
So,
great. Nice
okay.
meeting you,
Nice
finally.
to meet you too. Yes, absolutely. And
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
for your time today.
Oh, you're welcome. You have a beautiful day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.